Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasoda Jamuna Tiravana Charinati Jamuna Tiravana Charinati Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanandari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Jamuna Tiravana Charinati Yamuna Tiravana Charinatira Jamuna Tiravana Charinatira Jana Vishnupad Paramahamsa Previjakakaya Asatyar Sadashi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavani Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Sikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shiva Navanam Ki Jai. Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai. Gangamaya Ki Jai. Jamunamaya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Chansana Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. All glorious some devotees. All glorious some devotees. All glorious some devotees. All glorious Shishi Guru and Sri Gauranga. The text today is 7. That's what I thought. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chavita Prabhu, would you like to?
Sorry. Try it again. Tasya hava evam muktalingasya bhagavata vrishabhasya yogamaya vasanaya deya himam jagatim abhimana vasena sankramanaha konka venka kutakan dakshina karnatakan deshan yadrichayopagataha kutakachalopavana asya kutashma kabala unmada eva mukta modajo Samvita eva vichachara.
Very good. Translation. There's no port, so we'll go to the next verse also. Actually, Lord Rishabhdev had no material body, but due to Yoga Maya, he considered his body material. And therefore, because he played like an ordinary human being, he gave up the mentality of identifying with it. Following this principle, he began to wander all over the world. While traveling, he came to the province of Karnataka in South India and passed through Konka, Venka, and Kutaka. He had no plan to travel this way, but he arrived near Kutakachala and entered a forest there. He placed stones within his mouth and began to wander through the forest, naked and with his hair disheveled like a madman. Next verse. While he was wandering about, a wild forest fire began. This fire was caused by the friction of bamboos, which were being blown by the wind. In that fire, the entire forest near Kutakachala and the body of Lord Rishabhdev were burnt to ashes. Purport. Such a forest fire can burn the external bodies of animals, but Lord Rishabhdev was not burned, although he apparently seemed so. Just like Krishna, the way he left this world, he was shot in the foot with an arrow. It appeared like he left this world because of that, but that was just external. Lord Rishabhdev is the super soul of all living entities within the forest, and his soul is never burned by fire. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Adahyo Yam. The soul is never burned by fire. Due to Lord Rishabhdev's presence, all the animals in the forest were also liberated from material engagement. So we'll go on to the next verse. Sukadeva Goswami continues speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, the king of Konka, Venka, and Tukaka, whose name was Arhat, heard of the activities of Rishabhdev and, imitating Rishabhdev's principles, introduced a new system of religion. Taking advantage of Kali-yuga, the age of sinful activity, King Arhat, being bewildered, gave up the Vedic principles, which are free from risk, and concocted a new system of religion opposed to the Vedas. That was the beginning of the Jain Dharma. Many other so-called religions followed this atheistic system. Purport. When Lord Sri Krishna was present on this planet, a person named Paundraka imitated the four-headed Narayan and declared himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He desired to compete with Krishna. Similarly, during the time of Lord Rishabhdev, the king of Konka and Venka acted like a Paramahamsa and imitated Lord Rishabhdev. He introduced a system of a religion and took advantage of the fallen condition of the people in this age of Kali. It is said in Vedic literatures that people in this age will be more inclined to accept anyone as the Supreme Lord and accept any religious system opposed to Vedic principles. The people in this age are described as Manda Sumanda Mataya. Generally, they have no spiritual culture, and therefore they are very fallen. Due to this, they will accept any religious system. Due to their misfortune, they forget the Vedic principles. Following non-Vedic principles in this age, they think themselves the Supreme Lord and thus spread the cult of atheism all over the world. Om Jnanatamrandasya Gnanandina Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukharam Kotavachalam Pongam Long Hayate Gurim Yaktripatadaham Bande Shigaram Dinadaranam Avanchikalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the first verse that we chanted here explains how Lord Rishabhdev, he went into this forest fire. Of course, he wasn't burnt. Even Krishna, he says, Nainam Chindanti Sistrani, Nainam Dehati Kapavaka, Nachainam Klediyanjab, Nasochiti Maruta, that the soul, it can't be destroyed by any weapon. It can't be burned by fire, can't be moistened by water, can't be withered by the wind. So this is the nature of the soul. What to speak of God? No element can destroy God. And what's interesting in this pastime is that all the living entities in that forest fire, they were liberated because Lord Rishabhdev was there. Just like everyone that was in the battle of Kurukshetra, they all got their Swarup bodies, because they were in the presence of Krishna. So this is the mercy of Krishna. This is the mercy of Lord Rishabhdev, that all these many living entities, so many trees and so many plants, so many animals, insects. Pretty nice, huh? Yeah. So every morning we chant this Samsara Davan Alalita Loka Tunaya Karunya Ganaya. That the spiritual master, he is receiving a benediction from the ocean of mercy. And by his mercy, we can overcome this great ocean, this blazing fire of material existence, compared to an ocean. Yeah. So, it's a nice process for becoming free of this fire of material existence. But most people, unfortunately, practically everyone, wants to increase the fire. Yeah. They want to increase the fire. They don't want to decrease it. Just like when I distribute, I show this picture of the 5 horses and the senses. So I showed that to him. I explained how the mind is, controlling the senses. And the student said, "Why? Why? Let it go. Let the horses go. Let the senses go." Yeah. Hedonistic. Mindless hedonism is a prescription for disaster. They don't know that due to all this sinful activity, they're going to have to pay a big price. in the near future, we're going to hear about the hellish planets. This is no place anybody would want to go. A lot of suffering. What's interesting is one devotee asked Prabhupada, where are you going to go after this life? I was thinking of going to the hellish planets and preaching. Interesting. It'd be interesting distributing books in the hellish planets. Huh? A lot of suffering. Of course, in the fire, a lot of fire. I don't know if the pages would last. Yeah. I wonder if they could read down there. Of course, we don't want to find out. I was distributing a couple of days ago, and this person came down the sidewalk, and the shirt said, "I'll do whatever I want to do." This is the mentality. People just want to do whatever they want to do. I don't want to follow any rules, rules of God. I do whatever I want to do. But they don't even understand who they are. Who is the I? I'll do whatever I want. They're thinking the I is the body. But that's the grand illusion. The big lie. That we're the body. Just like the conditioned soul has these flaws. And that's one of the major ones, tendency to be an illusion. From the beginning of our life, we're coochie coochie coo, you're so beautiful, you little beautiful baby. Then your family, this is my father, my mother, I'm from this country, and this is my, this is just, huh? Yeah. So, this is the illusion, this bodily conception of life. And have a tendency to make mistakes. A lot of mistakes are made in the material world. And this is another big mistake, thinking that we're this body, we're the enjoyers, we're the proprietors. No, this is a big mistake. A cheating propensity, another major flaw of the conditioned souls. We like to cheat others. I was distributing books once, and I was explaining this, the flaws of the conditioned soul, cheating propensity. And I mentioned that, and he said, "Oh yeah, I was just reading about a psychiatrist that had a patient that had a problem with split personalities, and had about 10 different split personalities. So the psychiatrist had a brilliant idea of charging each of the split personalities. So one of the split personalities had enough intelligence to take this person to court. And the judge he just couldn't believe it. That a professional doctor could be such a cheater. Took away his license, and he spent some years in jail. Yeah. So, there's a lot of cheaters. And because in the West we're very naive about spiritual subject matters, people here in the West, we get cheated by so-called swamis, spiritual leaders, selling mantras. So much cheating. So Prabhupada said, I have not come here to cheat you, but I have come to give the absolute truth to you. So people are blind. Andhayathandarpaniyama te pisachantram udamnibadha. The leaders are blind, having a clue about what's good for the people. Not a clue. The people are blind, so they're all being led by blind leaders. Just like if there's a blind person going towards a cliff. Dangerous. So, hellish life, the life in the hellish planets, actually they push people off cliffs, into, burning fire and all kinds of. So I think there's one where they even separate limbs. Elephants are separating limbs and all kinds of. So they don't know. They're doing all these nefarious activities. They don't know that their future is very dark. So the book distributors, by the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, we go out and we try to get them going the right way. You're going the wrong way. You don't want to go that way. Here, take this book. Go this way. We try to guide them in the right way. They don't know. That's the nature of the conditioned soul. They don't know what to do. They don't know what not to do. Our parents, they had no idea about how to lead their children. So fortunately we've gotten some guidance from Srila Prabhupada and from Krishna and how to guide people properly towards Krishna. There was one devotee who was distributing books. He was distributing books and he was trying to convince this lady to take a book. And she didn't want it. She was determined, I'm not going to get this guy. But the devotee was more determined. How can I convince this thing? And finally she decided just to get rid of the guy. All right, and he gave him a donation, took the book. Then the BBT got a call from this lady. And she called and she was thanking. I don't know what his name was, but I read this book and it made more sense than anything else I've ever come across in my life. And she was just so thankful. And she saw the number of the BBT there in the book. So she called up, but she couldn't thank the devotee personally, but she wanted to thank him for being so pushy. That now she's finally found something that made sense in life. Of course, in general, we shouldn't be pushy. What's the golden rule of book distribution? Yes, everybody leaves with a good impression. Everybody leaves with a good impression. It's most important. But I guess this devotee just felt that this lady really still appreciated it. And she did. She did. But yeah, in general, we try to leave everyone with it. Whether they take a book or they don't take a book, at least we want them to leave with a smile. If they don't take a book, at least they leave with a smile. They've been a nice person. So, just to fill you in on, I spoke to Kalakanti yesterday over in Gainesville. He's got such an amazing program. They have this 3-month semester, 25 people each semester. They're calling in. They want to be a part of it. He told me it's like amazing. So Victoria, she's doing great. She wants to do another semester after this. She wants to do another one. And he said she's very mature and taking on more and more responsibility. So she's a real jewel there. Huh? Take over the center. Yeah. Well, I think they like to do that. Is they send out people. They start other. Just like Prabhupada made so many devotees. And he would send them out. He was amazing. Just like after some time in the 70s. Prabhupada was emphasizing book distribution. But in the late 60s, the emphasis was start centers. He was sending people all over the place, all over the world, start centers. And miraculously, they were just young devotees, 1-year-old, 2-year-old devotees. Like one devotee went to Germany, Shivananda. He was just a devotee for 1 or 2 years, and he's opening a center there in Germany, and he was successful. So many devotees joined. Yeah. Oh yeah, Sudhi went. The amazing pastime of Sudhi. He went to South Africa. He was either the first one or the second, or Yeah. So first he went to Kenya, Nairobi. He had heard that there were some people that were favorable to Krishna consciousness, and he got there. He got some contacts in South Africa, 3. So he's on the plane from Nairobi to South Africa, and he's got the tray there, the food tray there, and he's got a picture of Krishna, and he's praying to Krishna. Krishna, please, I'm going to need some help here. Please help. So he's praying fervently, and one Indian comes by on the aisle there, and he sees the picture of Krishna, and he says, "Oh, excuse me, you're a devotee of Krishna?" And he said, "Yeah. Well, here," and devotee said, "Well, here, have a seat. Let's talk." And they were talking, and as they were talking, he said, "Yeah, I got 3 contacts. Maybe you know some of these people in South Africa that I'm supposed to meet." And the first name he saw, he said, "Oh yeah, that's my uncle." The next one, "Oh, that's me." And the other one, he didn't know the other one. But he was just like shocked. Krishna's just making these amazing... It's like there's this new book now, Prabhupada, Miracles. Srila Prabhupada Miracles. I just got it recently by Vaikuntha. You know Vaikuntha? Yeah. Amazing. It's a wonderful book. All these... Still, there's books coming out, Pastimes of Prabhupada. I mean, this book just really... his mood, the way he's writing this book, you just feel like you've gone back into 1967, 1968. He just really brings the mood, Is he in Alachua? His wife was, yeah. Oh, that's maybe another one, yeah. So, yeah. Wonderful book. So, yeah, Krishna, he empowered Srila Prabhupada to just perform miracles. That we're all sitting here, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting Hare Krishna is a miracle. I mean, we're all meat eaters, malechas, except for Ravi here, born in a Vaishnava culture. But it's just a miracle that we're participating in this process of Krishna consciousness, where we're trying to grow in our spiritual life. Yeah. It's like every morning we have this nice morning program, and it helps us to grow in our spiritual life. Yeah. Here Prabhupada mentions in this verse, Prayana Payapasa, that in this age of Kali, people are short-lived, they're lazy, misguided, unlucky, above all, always disturbed. So, Kali-yuga, it's very difficult to grow spiritually. It's such a degraded age. But Krishna's so kind, he comes and he helps us, right? Krishna Bhuli Se Jiva, Anadhir Bahir Mukha. That the living entity, having forgotten Krishna, the living entity has forgotten Krishna, so he comes here and he's trying to, as it said, Prabhupada says here, they're trying to imitate God. So instead of trying to imitate God, one should try to serve Krishna. And if we don't try to serve Krishna, we try to imitate Krishna, then we have to suffer. We get the suffering, we experience the sufferings of material existence. Just like Pondraka, he was a classic imitator of Krishna. He thought he was actually Krishna, and challenged Krishna, even sent a letter challenging Krishna. You should give up your symbols. And Krishna was reading this in the assembly there. Everybody got a good laugh. And Krishna said, yes, I'll give up my symbols, but especially the Sudarshan Chakra. That's going to be an offering to you. So, yeah, we can't be Krishna. We can be the servant of Krishna. This is our natural position. And by serving Krishna, our faith in Krishna grows. But in Kali-yuga, it's just filled with faithlessness. No interest in spiritual values, practically, just covered with faithlessness. But Prabhupada, he's so powerful. His preaching is so powerful that so many faithless people, just like Yadubar, his wife, was her Vishaka. She was a full-on atheist, raised by parents, mother and father, atheist. But she was hearing from Yadubar about this amazing Swami, this wonderful person. He's captured my heart. Actually, probably even told him one time he was doing something, getting his camera together, because he went there he was just doing there as a project, for a magazine or something. Yeah, he was a photographer. And finally, Prabhupada could see that he was kind of, getting into Krishna. And Prabhupada finally said to him, I think Krishna has captured you. So, Krishna captured so many people by the purity of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. So, and he was writing to his fiancée at the time, that this person is just amazing. He's captured me. I fall in love with this Swami. He's wonderful. So she was hearing this, and then she wanted to go, well, I want to meet this Swami. And she became a devotee. Good devotee. She's the president now in the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And she's one of the main writers. I mean, her writing is just like, incredible. She's one of the main writers for BTG. So Prabhupada had heard that she was an atheist before joining. And he said to her, so, you're an atheist, how did you become a devotee? Your mercy, Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is very merciful. And his mercy is spreading more and more. And we want to give out this mercy. We've gotten the mercy. And you get something nice, you want to share it with others. We want to spread this mercy of Srila Prabhupada all over the world. And Prabhupada says that this is the greatest service that one can do for society, is giving them spiritual knowledge. Just like when I distribute books now, I tell them this is wisdom art. I show them the pictures. This is wisdom art. And I tell them that this is the main lack in society throughout the world. This wisdom. Very few people are wise. So this will help you become wise. And it's happening. So many devotees, wonderful, so many wonderful devotees. So many wise devotees around the world. Because you connect with Krishna, Krishna's the most wise. Yeah? By hearing the words of Krishna, one becomes wise. Prabhupada told Vaikuntha, he says, when you're reading the books I've given you, try to understand every word. Every word. He's looking straight at him and said, like whoa, really hit hard, So when we're reading, we should really try to understand what is being said. Because Krishna, he doesn't want to see us suffer. There's so much suffering in the world. So he comes. He comes to help us. And sometimes he helps in mysterious ways. Just like I heard recently, Radhasyam Prabhu was giving a talk, and he mentioned how there was this, back in the 30s, there was a person who was he was a skydiver. Believe it or not, even back in the 30s, there were skydivers. But you had to have a lot of money. So he was going out in this plane to do some skydiving, but when they got up, just about 500 yards or 600 yards, the plane started to act in unusual ways, and it started to go down. And the pilot didn't know what to do, and this person that's skydiving, he's also, what are we going to do? They're in big anxiety, so it's going down. And this person, the skydiver, he started praying to God, God, please, very sincerely, please, if you save me from this, if I'm able to live through this, I promise I'll give my life to you. So the plane crashed, and he lived. The pilot died, he lived. But he was, mangled up. His body was just completely, messed up. Went to the hospital. He was in the hospital for like a year. And he gets out, and he's almost normal. But then he remembered, I promised God I'd give my life to him if I survived. So he went to a church and explained the whole thing to the priest. And he said, so I'm ready to give my life to God. So what should I do? And the priest said, well, we only have Sunday services here. So I don't know what you can do. But if you want to give your life to God, better go to India. He told him that. So he was kind of a wealthy person. So he said, all right, took that as the message of God, went to India. And he started learning about, the Vedas, and you need a guru, and like this. So he was talking to one person. He said, yeah, I want to give my life to God. What do you think I should do? He said, I know the perfect place where you should go. And he sent him to the Gaudiya Math. And he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he became an initiated disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Isn't that amazing? He's in America. There's no devotees here. So a priest sends him to India, and he gets initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this is the miracles that take place in spiritual life. And book distribution, we know we experience. Even in this life, we could experience those miracles. Like many devotees have said, if you want to meet Krishna, go on book distribution, because you experience the miracles. Krishna's mystic abilities are there. And it creates a lot of faith, actually. This is what's so nice about book distribution. You become very faithful. You experience the presence of Krishna. It's so ecstatic. Prabhupada tells of a story of one devotee who was very faithful. Narada Muni was traveling around, and he was going around one village, and he came across one Brahmin. And the Brahmin said, oh, Narada Muni, so nice to have your presence, to see you. Where are you going? I'm going to Vaikuntha. Oh, you're going to Vaikuntha? Wow. When you see Lord Vishnu, can you ask him when I'm going to be liberated? I said, okay. So he's going along, and he sees one cobbler. Cobbler means someone who fixes shoes. And the cobbler saw Narada Muni. Oh, Narada Muni, Dandavats. So nice to see you. Is there anything I could do for you? Any service I could do for you? Oh, it's okay. Where are you going? I'm going to Vaikuntha. Oh, and you're going to see Lord Vishnu. Yes. Well, can you ask him when I'll be liberated? Oh, yeah. So we went to Vaikuntha, and he mentioned to Lord Vishnu they had met this Brahmana and asked Lord Vishnu when he'll be liberated. And he said, it'll be many, 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 many births before he's liberated. And then he said, well, I met this cobbler also. And he also asked when he'll be liberated. And Lord Vishnu said, this is his last life. He's going back home. Coming back. So Narada Muni was a little surprised that here's a qualified Brahmana, he's Paka Brahmana, and many lives, and here's a cobbler, this simple person working on shoes. How is that? And Lord Vishnu said, you tell them. They're going to ask what I was doing. So you tell them that I was stringing an elephant through the eye of a needle, going this way and this way. I said, okay. So he went back to earth, and he saw the Brahmana. I said, oh, Narada Muni, so nice to see you again. Did you ask Lord Vishnu when I'll be liberated? I said, yes, I asked him. He said it'll be many, 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 many births before you're liberated. And he said, oh. Well, what was he doing when you saw him? He was stringing an elephant through the eye of a needle, this way and this way. Narada Muni, what are you doing talking nonsense? You can't put an elephant through an eye of a needle. You're Narada Muni, you shouldn't be talking nonsense. It's Prajalpa, nonsense. So Narada Muni, Hare Krishna, went on. And then he saw the cobbler. Oh, Narada, it's so nice to see you again. Dandavats. Did you see Lord Vishnu? Yes. Said, oh, you're so fortunate. You travel all over, the universe is all over. You go to Vaikuntha. Prabhupada said, Narada Muni has free passage to go anywhere he wants. Free passage. So, did you ask when I'll be liberated? I said, yes. The Lord said, this is your last life. You're going back home. Really? Oh, imagine if you heard that from Narada Muni. This is it, you're going back home. Wow, that'd be ecstatic, huh? So he was pretty ecstatic, I'm sure. So then he said, well, what was he doing when you saw him? He was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle, going this way and this way. And the cobbler said, wow. My Lord is amazing. Who else can do that? Huh? Threading an elephant through the eye of a needle, going this way and that way. Wow, that's amazing. And Narada Muni said, he believes that? Sure, why not? What can Krishna not do? Just like I'm sitting here under this banyan tree. It was just a little seed. Began with a little seed. It goes in the, puts it in the ground. You put some water on, and we got this humongous banyan tree. Krishna just does amazing things. I was in Ojai before I came here, and devotee there, what's his name again? Maheshwar. He's got an orange tree there. Prabhu's. You haven't had an orange until you've had an orange from this tree. I couldn't believe it. It was so sweet. I mean, I was in ecstasy. I was having so many glasses of orange juice. Never before had I had such sweet orange juice. And never since. I'm thinking of going up there and getting some. So what was the beginning of that? Just a seed. Just a seed in the ground. Put some water on it. And this amazing tree comes up with such sweet oranges. You know? Mangoes. In Indonesia, they have this fruit called mangosteen. It's a little fruit about this big. Purple. But it's one of my favorites. It's so sweet also. White. It's like a tangerine. Shaped like a tangerine. It opens up like a tangerine. But it's so sweet, so nice. There's so many fruits we never even heard of. You know, Krishna's just amazing creation, you know. So many nice fruits and vegetables. So Krishna's doing all this. You know. The mystic abilities of Krishna, the magic of Krishna. There's one pastime. Prabhupada, he was in India. And he met with one godbrother. And so Prabhupada asked him, so, what's new? And the person, this godbrother, has said, well, you know, I was visiting one temple, and there's this one mystic. He was able to just manifest apples, you know, out of thin air. Had this mystic ability. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's nice. And he said, you know, I went to New York City. I didn't have anything. Didn't know anybody there. I started opening temples. Now we have about 100 temples around the world. And at each one of these temples around the world, you'll find devotees in those temples. And in those temples, there's so many apples. So the person said, oh, that's much better. That's magic. That's mystic ability. To go out and where people have never heard of Krishna and start temples, you know, make devotees. Prabhupada said, that's my magic. So is there any question or?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vijaya Krishna.
May I?
You may.
Thank you, Vichar Prabhu, my humble obeisances. Prabhu, the quote from the purport related to 569 is as follows. Quote, the people in this age are described as Manda, Sumanda, Mataya. Generally, they have no spiritual culture, and therefore, they are very fallen, end quote. So, Prabhu, my question is, if I may, fallen in what sense?
Fallen in the sense that they have no desire to understand who they are. Their spiritual values are practically non-existent. Just like here in this temple, we have a morning program, a nice morning program. If you were to go across the street here, they're also having a morning program, as David Prabhu pointed out to me this morning. There's a gym across the street, and they're all working out. A number of them, they're working out. You know, why? To build their body, to make, you know, to grow their body and become bodybuilders, you know, to increase their false ego. So right here they can grow spiritually, but people prefer to grow materially, you know, to increase the fire. To increase the fire of material existence. They want to enjoy material sense gratification. Not only do they want to enjoy, they're mad at nunam pramatav kurute vikarma yadindriya prita aparnoti. When one thinks that sense gratification is the goal of life, one becomes mad after such sense gratification, engages in all kinds of sinful activities. We're kind of like in an oasis here. We don't even know what's going on out there. There's so much insanity going on out there in the garb of trying to enjoy. You know. They have no idea what enjoyment is. Because all their enjoyment is based on the body. And in Kali-yuga, people are just, they're very lazy, spiritually, even materially. There's some people that are enthusiastic materially also. They work hard to get money and try to enjoy. But, people are lazy, misguided, unlucky, always disturbed. So people aren't interested in spiritual life. Yeah. Unfortunately. Some people are. Very rarely. Even Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasresu kastya jayadisiddhye. Out of many thousands among them, one may endeavor for perfection. And of thousands of those, hardly one knows me in truth. So people are mostly just interested in hedonism. That's the religion of the age. Hedonism, just enjoying as much as they can. So we should try to help them as much as we can. And Krishna will be pleased. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu, better than okay. Again, wonderful answer to my question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class.
Bhakti Tyler, Prabhu.
I had two questions and just a brief comment on something you had said about, I think you said when we read we should try to make sure we understand every word.
Yeah.
So when I was a college student, that was the principle I followed, is anytime I came across a word that I didn't know, I either wrote it down or looked it up immediately. And it helped increase my vocabulary and also understand the concepts I was dealing with. So when I began reading the Gita, it was just like, wow. I mean, glossary every page at least, if not a few times.
Yeah.
And then what was really difficult is when there's a word in the Gita that's not in the glossary, and then you're like, oh wow, I got to go try to hunt this out. Yeah. What to speak of trying to even speak them correctly, and they're all concepts too. So you're applying concepts to a sentence that itself is a concept. So it's really great instruction to make sure we understand every word, or what are we doing. The quick clarifying question I had is, in that nice story you told about Vishnu and Narada, and then going and telling those two different devotees that instruction, was he threading the elephant through a needle, or was he fibbing that he was?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. Because it's not mentioned that Narada Muni saw him doing that, but Vishnu said, this is what you tell them. Of course, for Krishna, it's not a big deal. He can
so
do
Krishna
that.
tells us, go say this thing that may in fact be true or not. We go express that. So
you do what Krishna says. just like Krishna told Yudhisthira, tell Dronacharya that Ashwatthama is dead. He wasn't dead; he was still alive. But Krishna, tell him a lie. We got to try to win this battle. He's not going to be stopped. So, whatever Krishna says, we do.
Then
He's beyond moral principles. Yeah.
Jai, thank you. And we aren't, so we should only be doing that when we're told by an authority. Okay. Yeah.
By Vishnu. Javita Prabhu. Go ahead.
Sorry. And then it was an open-ended question for you, because you made a really awesome statement that I wanted to see why do miracles occur specifically on book distribution? Can you give an indication of why that's the realm?
Okay, it's a very good question. Because when you're on book distribution, we're trying to convince people that have never heard of Krishna. We're trying to convince them to take a book they've never heard about and to give some of their hard-earned money. Now that's asking a lot. And people do it a lot. And that's mystical. There's a devotee, I just got the news yesterday. This devotee, last month, he did 17,000 book points in a month. Now, just to give you an idea of how much that is, I've been distributing books for 43 years, and I have an ability to do that. My biggest month ever was 2,000.
Where and who?
That's what's his name? No. Mahotsava.
Oh, Mahotsaha.
Mahotsaha. Mahotsaha. Mahotsaha in Atlanta. He's unbelievable. He goes out and he sells whole sets. Well, not whole sets, but sets. You know, like 7 books and 5 books, and he's just, this is mystical. This is magic. In Atlanta, that's the Bible Belt. Georgia is the Bible Belt. There's so many Christians there, and he's selling them books. And he goes out in the Dodi and Kurta, right? Yeah. Tilak. It's like, I mean, that's magic. 17,000.
Just
book points.
The key is in his name.
Mahotsaha.
Maha-utsaha means great enthusiasm.
He's got some great enthusiasm. Inconceivable. So he's experiencing that. He's probably like floating around, you know. He's in ecstasy because he's experiencing the mercy of Krishna. You experience the mercy of Krishna. You have to have that. It's said that one cannot spread Krishna consciousness without having the mercy of Krishna. Krishna Shakti Mananahe. So it's like I had the experience. There was one salesman, professional salesman. He was visiting the temple, and he heard I was a book distributor in the airport, and he had always wanted to try book distribution. So he asked, "Can I join you? Can I try to? I'm a salesman, so I'd probably do pretty good." So I said, "Yeah, come on." So we were out. I was distributing books, and he was trying, and he couldn't get anybody to give a dime. And he was shocked. He said, "I'm a salesman," but I was distributing books all around. He couldn't figure it out. Why? How are you doing that? You know? I asked him, "So did you chant any rounds today?" "Oh, what's that?" So, well, this is not a material activity. You got to get the mercy of Krishna. So chanting rounds and you know, reading Prabhupada. Did you read any of Prabhupada's books today before you came? "Oh, no, I didn't do it." See, this is not a material activity. This is a spiritual activity. To do this activity, you got to connect with Krishna. He said, "Oh, well, that explains it. I couldn't figure it out why. Now I understand."
Just to give an idea of how miraculous Mahotsa's
Put it closer.
how miraculous Mahotsa's book distribution is. He'll do a Saptarishi, which is 7 books, which generally the donation is $50. And then after
who's distributing? You?
Mahotsa.
Mahotsa, okay.
And then after he does that, after they take it, he says, "Okay, now you're ready for this," and he shows them the Lilamrita, and they take it. He's people he's never met before, and his entire.
Two big volumes.
Huh? No, it's the 7-volume set.
7 volumes.
Yeah. That's
and
amazing.
Like people
so they give more for that.
Yeah, so in total they give about the Lilamrita is like $50 or something like that. And so just people he's never met ever in his life before.
Give $100.
Yeah, give $100 and they take 14 books and they're walking away with it.
Did they at least give them bags they can carry? Was it like?
I'm not sure. Maybe, but at least I've seen in pictures. It's like they're holding a stack of books and they just walk away with it.
Yeah,
it's really amazing.
I mean, I tried to distribute a Bhagavad Gita and I said, "No, it's too heavy." You know, not all the time, but sometimes that's their excuse. You know, "No, it's too heavy." These guys walk around. This is, you know what this means? This means he's just like completely, totally off the mental platform. Okay. Just totally off the mental platform. It's just like. He's getting the mercy of Krishna and Guru. Yeah. Did you have something to say?
Let me just.
Oh, Javita did.
Yeah, it's a quick story. Because
Okay.
you're talking about miracles.
Yeah.
There's a book that was written, I think, called Babaji's Saints of Braj. It was by Prabhupada's godbrother, who we highly respected. Forget his name right now. Obi Kapoor, thank you. And I once read this book while I was on Navadvip Parikram. And there's one story, there's amazing stories in there, of one Englishman. And he was, during World War II, he was flying one of those RAF planes, you know? And he was attacked by the Germans, and his plane was going down, and he was out unconscious. And there was, you know, he told the story later. And somehow, he ends up, the plane landed, and he's in the hospital. Because there's some special plans for this fellow. So he's coming in and out of consciousness. He's dreaming, and he kept hearing this voice, or this indication. You have to go to Lucknow. There, your search. You'll find what you're looking for. He had some spiritual interest. Not explicit. So he goes there, and eventually there's a whole story about there was a couple there who was running the house, and they were part of the whole ruling bureaucracy under the English. And it turns out that the lady, she would disappear. They'd have these soirees, they'd have these things, and she would disappear sometimes. He said, where's she going? So he went in and he saw she was meditating in another room, And he said, oh, maybe she's meant to be my teacher. And so he started taking instruction from her. It turns out she was a Gaudiya Vaishnav, and she was meditating on Krishna and chanting Krishna's name. And so eventually they both went to Vrindavan, not to Vrindavan, to somewhere in the Himalayas. She was the guru. There was nothing, unchaste about it. And they had deities of Gaur Nitai there. And eventually she passed away. He took the deities and went to Vrindavan. And he became the first Westerner who was actually giving initiations. He's living at Radhakund. But the miracle was that the plane landed. He was unconscious. And then he starts getting this instruction, and he was meant to be an acharya. This is all before, this is during the 30s, 40s, like that. Before the 40s, after the war. So that's just one story.
Oh, that was after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's just...
Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki?